Моля, аплодисменти за Стаси Кара! За мен е истинско удоволствие да оставя актьорите в твоите ръце. Аплодисменти още веднъж!
Мерси! Здравейте на всички! Вълнувате ли се? Как не? Аз вече имах удоволствието да се срещна с двамата ни специални гости отзад в бекстейджа и ви уверявам, че наистина са страхотни. Вчера имахме един специален гост, днес са цели двама. Познаваме ги като много важни и интересни герои, част от семейството и поредицата на един, ще кажа, не от най-успешните сериали в последните години, а въобще в историята на киното и на телевизията, Game of Thrones или Игра на тронове. Предстои ни среща с двама от актьорите, превъплатили се в герои. Първо, по традиция, тъй като все пак даваме привилегия на дамите, ще ви представя нея. Актрисата се казва Keisha Хюз. Познаваме я като Обара Сан в Игра на тронове, но много интересно е, че тя още на 13 години е номинирана за Оскар. Лично Джордж Лукас и се обажда, за да участва в поредицата Междузвездни войни, след което става част и от семейството на Игра на тронове. Нека си припомним част от това какво представлява нейната героиня, един безстрашен войн.
Mama.
Nim, Obara,
Will it be war?
Prince Doran will weep for your father, but nothing else. We must avenge Oberyn ourselves.
Without Doran, we have no army to march against the Lannisters.
We don't need an army to start a war. Queen Cersei loves her children, and we have one of them.
You may have a problem.
A ship's captain who found me in Plankytown claiming he had information to sell. He told me he smuggled Jaime Lannister into Dorne.
He's come from Marcella. If he gets to her before we do, we lose our only chance for revenge. You must choose. Doran's way and peace, or my way and war.
I'm with you, always.
Nim? Obara?
When I was a child, Oberyn came to take me to court. I'd never seen this man, and yet he called himself my father. My mother wept, said I was too young, and a girl. Oberyn tossed his spear at my feet and said, "Girl or boy, we fight our battles. But the gods let us choose our weapons." My father pointed to the spear, and then to my mother's tears. I made my choice long ago.
А сега, моля за вашите продължителни аплодисменти за актрисата Keisha Хюз. Hi. Who's here? Hello. How are you doing, Keisha?
Good. I'm really excited. Thank you all so much for coming.
Did you expect you have so many fans in Bulgaria?
No, but I'm really excited about it because I really like it here. So.
I'm sure they're dying to know everything about your experience on Game of Thrones. But before that, should we invite our gentleman as well on stage?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think of him? Do you like him?
Yeah, I do. He's really great.
А сега е време да представим и кавалера, който ще ни прави компания. Един актьор, който познаваме в много ключова роля от сериала Game of Thrones. Жрец от храма на многоликия бог. Един актьор, който е играл във филми, сериали, театрални пиеси и какво ли още не. Неговият талант е истински разнороден. Нека си припомним част от най-запомнящите се моменти на Том Wlaschiha.
You told her to kill me.
Yes. But here you are. And there she is. Finally, a girl is no one.
A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell. And I'm going home.
И сега моля за вашите аплодисменти за Том Wlaschiha. Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
I had a haircut.
Oh, yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. It's quite a different look for you. It's not your first time in Bulgaria. How does it change every time you come here?
Well, it's great every time, actually. So it's my fourth time. I've done a few films here, and I'm really enjoying it. It's cool.
That's very good to hear. Guys, I want to start with, obviously Game of Thrones is a huge production with international, not only cast, but crew from everywhere, all around the world, including you guys. Keisha, you were born in Australia, grew up in New Zealand. Tom, you're from Germany. You still live in Germany up to this day, right?
Germany, yeah.
How did you come across this project and how did you fit in such a huge production?
Well, I was a big fan of the books. I read them when I was in high school, and so I knew when the show was starting, I was immediately, really into it. And so I guess I came across the project the same way, like for most things as an actor, although I was aware that Dawn was coming up in the show, and from my knowledge of the books, I thought that maybe I looked like I could be from Dawn if I was from anywhere. And so I did kind of make a few phone calls, and I was proactive about that. But in terms of fitting in, I mean, that's one of the great things about, the show is that it shoots all over the world, and there is a cast and crew from everywhere. We have all of the stunt team I worked with were predominantly from Bulgaria, actually, and they were incredible. They're a bunch of very invincible men.
Tom, I know that unlike Keisha, you didn't know much about Game of Thrones before auditioning.
I knew nothing. Yeah.
Well, how did that change for you?
Well, I had never heard of Game of Thrones before because I was cast for season 2, and season 1 hadn't aired at that point, so I had never heard of it. And my agent just told me, "Oh, it's an American fantasy show with some dragons," and I said, "Well, yeah, I'll do the audition, fine." And I was lucky because the producers, they were thinking, because Jacken comes from Bravos, like from this remote island, they were looking for an actor with an accent. And in the initial casting, in the description of the part, it said he has an Eastern accent. And I was like, God, what is an Eastern accent? So when I did my auditioning tape, I tried to put on a little Russian accent. And they actually, for some reason, gave me the part. But when we met, they looked at me and they said, "No, just speak the way you speak. You don't have to put on a Russian accent."
I'm just gonna let the audience know that there is a microphone over there to the left. So if you guys want to ask your questions towards our actors, you're welcome to do so. If you cannot do it in English, I will help you with the translation. So just be brave and ask your question. What was the most difficult part, I guess, about being Obara? She's fearless. She fights a lot. Did you do your own stunts?
I did majority of them, which I was very happy about because, you know, often when you go into I hadn't done a lot of heavy stunt work, but, you know, often there are stunt doubles for a reason. But the nature of this show is that so much of it is fast moving and the way that the sand snakes in particular fight, because we fight, the three of us as one unit, it was really important that we got as much of the choreography as we could. So as soon as I knew I had the part, I started immediately doing wushu training and a lot of, you know, physical conditioning. And it was really hard work. You know, I think for a lot of, well, for myself and a lot of other actors, you kind of go, oh, I'd love to do my own stunts, and then you do half a day of stunt work and it hurts. And so it was really, you know, it was a big challenge for me, like pushing through that.
But you can be a warrior in your next film.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, she's a fierce character to play for a really long time, and so it was bittersweet at the end for sure. It was nice to put her away for a little bit.
Tom, and for you, what was, I guess, the hardest part in terms of preparation, in terms of the hair?
The hair was very hard, yeah.
Growing hair can be hard.
No, it was a really nice wig, and it didn't take that long to put it on. It just like 15, 20 minutes every morning. The hardest part was actually this bathrobe that I'm wearing in season 5 and 6, because it looks quite comfortable, but the thing is, it's completely shapeless. So whenever you move, it slides all off your body. So I constantly had like 3 or 4 wardrobe people onto me, like rearranging me, pulling me, pushing me, doing all sorts of things, but it was okay.
I can see that we have a lot of people lined up for questions now, so let's begin. Hi.
Hi, welcome to our country first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my question is, who should sit on the Iron Throne?
Well, clearly me. I don't really understand the question. I mean, it's clear, no? No, my personal opinion, but that's just based on my personal opinion, not on any knowledge. I think that no one's going to sit on the Iron Throne. Just because it's been a symbol for war and destruction and everything. So I cannot really imagine anyone sitting on the Iron Throne in the end. Maybe it gets destroyed.
Thank you.
Keisha, do you have an opinion on that?
I mean, I have a really similar opinion, actually, is that I think that it's been, a symbol, and everyone who's kind of tried their hand in it, it hasn't worked out very well for them. So if it is anyone, hopefully it's someone that we don't like.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Can we have the next question, please?
Hi. I have a question which is kind of odd, but outside of Game of Thrones, which was your favorite movie set to work on?
You've been on Star Wars sets?
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars was pretty fun. I mean, Game of Thrones' set is so unique and it's such a special experience. And I mean, every single job is different as well. But yeah, definitely playing Queen of Naboo was one of the most exciting sets I'd ever been on. I was really early on in my career, and it was the first time I'd been on a big studio set with green screens. And it was really interesting to sit in the makeup room and watch people go in one door as human beings and then come out another door as aliens 3 hours later.
Did you actually realize at that time that you were being part of something so iconic? Does that cross your mind all the time, or are you just there to do your job?
I remember I had a funny story where I had, George Lucas had seen a film that I'd done, and he called and asked, you know, he said he was a big fan of the film, and he asked if I would come and, you know, play this part in episode 3, and I was 13 and I just wanted to go to school, and I said to him, let me think about it, but I've got some school tests coming up, so if I do it, can we do it in the school holidays? And I mean, you know, that was the beauty of like not understanding the industry when you're really young. I would never ever say that now. Now I'm like, oh, George, please call me, but...
Well, I'm sure that George didn't expect that answer.
No, I really don't, but he was really gracious, and I did get to shoot in the school holidays.
Tom, and for you?
Well, for me, I mean, Game of Thrones has been my only fantasy production so far, and doesn't really compare with any of the other sets. So by far, this was the most exciting set in terms of set design and all the stuff they're building, the costumes. The other stuff that I played in was mainly drama, contemporary stuff.
It's not that bad. You say it like it's a drama, like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, it's just drama.
Thank you. Can we have the next question, please?
Hi, I wanted to ask you, what was the hardest thing about filming Game of Thrones, aside the rope? Yeah.
Logistically, it's such a huge production to get your head around in terms of the amount of people involved. I've never worked on anything of this scale. You know, there are, you know, usually you have like one crew and you have a pretty, you know, solid idea of when you'll be shooting, and it's never anything as long as this. They shoot over a 6-month period and lots of different locations with 2 or 3 different crews. And so, if anything, that was the hardest thing. So, scheduling wise, you know, sometimes, so some of the fight scenes in season 7, instead of shooting them over one period of time, we shot them over 3 months, but only like 1 week and then 2 days and then 3 days, which is hard because you have to remember just small parts of the choreography. So that was a little tricky.
Yeah, I would say it's a similar thing. I mean, because it's such a huge production. I mean, as an actor, you normally have to wait a long time. You always have time off. You sit on set. You wait for your next scene. But especially on this production, sometimes it takes hours to light a new scene and to set it up, and you have to be very patient. And also, I had one scene, I think it was in season 6, when Arya and the Wave had their first stick fight, and they rehearsed it, they choreographed it, everything, and all I had to do in the scene was just walk in the door, have a look, turn around, walk off. And we were supposed to do it on one day, and then the director wasn't really happy with the shots, and he decided, oh no, we're going to finish the scene tomorrow. So on the second day, he decided, it's not a good day today, we're shooting it tomorrow. So we ended up shooting that scene on 4 days. So I was standing there, walking in the door, just looking and backing out for 4 days. Oh I have had more interesting ways of spending 4 days.
What did you do while waiting? What did you do while you were waiting?
Nothing.
Oh my God.
Playing games on my phone.
Thank you. Can we have the next question, please?
Hello. I would like to ask, what's your impression of Bulgaria, and what are the things that you enjoyed the most?
Of Bulgarian, sorry?
What are the things that you enjoyed the most in Bulgaria, and what's your impression of the country?
What's your impression of the country, and what do you find most interesting in Bulgaria?
Well, should I go first?
Yes, you're the experienced one.
What I always like to do when I go to a new country is, and I have some time, I just rent a car and I drive around. And obviously this weekend I couldn't do it because I'm only here for the weekend. But the first time I was here was filming for 6 weeks. It was an American TV movie. And I had a few days off in between, so I rented a car. I drove around everywhere. I went to the Black Sea and to Plovdiv and to the Rila monastery and. Yeah, what was the hardest word was Koprivnica. So I've been there, and what amazes me and what's really cool is it's such a diverse country with mountains, seaside, and a lot of the nature is really untouched, and that's what I love, because that's when you come from Western Europe, you don't have it there anymore. So I think this is a big treasure, and the food's amazing, and I could go on and on about chopska salad and whatever, and it's like
Keisha,
rakia.
can we compare it to New Zealand at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, especially I've only been to Sofia here this weekend for the first time, but you know, with the mountains, it's really similar landscape to a lot of New Zealand. It's nice to be in a place. You know, I live in America now, so it's nice to be in a place where the air is fresh and it's similar to home. And then I've had, everyone's been so wonderful and so hospitable and so kind and, you know, willing to like show us around and, you know, and it's really nice to be in a place where people love their home. And the food has been wonderful. I've eaten a lot of food. it's been great.
Thank you. Can we have the next question, please?
Hello, I have a question for Tom, and it's about the Hall of Faces. Was it like more green screen, or was there a lot of props involved in it, the making of it?
What do you mean green screen? I mean, I took all the faces and put them there. No, actually, I was really impressed because when I read the script, I thought there's going to be a lot of green screen, but they actually built this thing. And the only green screen we had was at the ceiling, so the height was doubled afterwards. But all the faces that you see, they're actually there. And the funny story is, because if you look closely sometimes, it's like the faces of the producers, it's the faces of people like set designers, whoever had time during the shoot had to go into makeup and have their face imprint taken. So everybody of production is actually up there in the Hall of Faces.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi. So my question is towards both of you. So if you could choose your own death, what would it be like and why?
If we could choose what?
Your own death. Exactly. I always, I had actually pitched my death well before I knew it was coming to David and Dan because it's inevitable that you know, everyone's going to have a death in the show at some point. And I thought it would be somewhat comical to see Obara, who's like, you know, she's so serious and she's so like dead set about fighting all the time. You know, she sleeps at night with her armor on, with her spear in hand. You know, she's like, she's dreaming of killing people. I thought it would be funny if she like ate something bad and got food poisoning and like went out in her sleep.
I guess they didn't take that.
Unfortunately, no, it didn't go that way, and she got the gory death that, you know, was very well deserved for Obara, but...
Yeah, I never really thought about that because it's going to be really hard to kill Jack and Hagar. Even if you killed that guy, somebody else could come along and take that face, and then it would be me again. So it's... we don't... Yeah.
So you will stay until the end. Spoiler alert. You will stay until the end. Next question, please. Thank you.
Vala Morgulis.
Vala Dohairis, my friend.
A girl has a question for a man.
A girl may ask.
Will you take me as your apprentice?
Well, does a girl know what being an apprentice involves?
A girl knows, and a girl is ready.
Is a girl sure?
A girl is sure.
There are no stairs, my girl, but you can do it. Go on. A man doesn't know if a girl knows that being an apprentice involves a good spanking once in a while. But perfect costume. Vala Morgulis. Never seen myself.
Wow, in a female form. Can we have the next question, please?
So I have a question, the same question for both of you. What was the most, what was the scene that challenged you most as an actor?
None, obviously, with Keisha.
Yeah, not at all, yeah.
Challenging?
Yeah. Yeah, what does that mean? Like, you know, I did find a lot of, how do I word this? I did find like a lot of the scenes challenging because you don't necessarily have a lot of time. And even though, you know, the scale of the show is so huge, there's so many storylines to follow. And so when you read a script, you know, like you get through it as quickly as possible because you want to know what's happening. And then you kind of break it down and realize that in order to tell your story and your character, you have 3 or 4 scenes within that script. And that can be difficult to kind of map out, to not have the luxury of more time, and it's still television, so you can't have these long, breathy pauses that actors like to leave a lot of the time. So that was somewhat challenging for sure, to try and convey things in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, with me it's a really stupid one. I don't have much action, you know, I'm just standing there, I'm talking and nothing happens. Somebody else does my killings for me. So what I found the hardest is at the end of season 5, when I poisoned myself and then I dropped dead. The producers asked me to lie there with my eyes open and staring at the ceiling and not breathing and not blinking. And I think we shot that 10 times or so because they rolled the camera, and at a certain point after 3 seconds I was going, you mustn't blink, you mustn't blink. That's it. So yeah, that probably was the hardest.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello. First of all, Tom, I want to ask you, will we see you in season 8? And if yes, will you participate in the fight with the White Walkers?
I have no idea. But maybe you can call the producers and ask them. Because I seriously don't know. I mean, the fans always assume that we know more than they do, which isn't the case. The producers are very clever. They're not telling us anything, so we are not in any danger of telling spoilers. So I don't know.
So when did you know your character was gonna die? How long before?
Really not long before at all, actually. I mean, they'd started shooting, and they've definitely, you know, it's very true. I mean, I came into the show, you know, later, and I definitely knew more about the show when I was a viewer than I do now being a part of the show. It's like, they really do. It's amazing how secretive it becomes.
Thank you. Can we have the next, please?
Hi. I have 2 questions for both of you.
Sorry, can we keep it to one question because we have a really long
They're very
line.
fast. First is for Game of Thrones. Which is your favorite character? And we all heard that you like Bulgaria, but what you didn't like here?
What we didn't like.
Yeah.
Strange questions.
Let's begin with the character.
My favorite character is Arya Stark, and has been from the start.
Well, she was well trained. So. Well, I like the bad guys for some reason, so I would go with Joffrey and Ramsay Bolton. And if I'm back on season 8, I intend to bring them back to life.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you. Next question.
Hi, my question is, which is your favorite memory from the set of Game of Thrones?
My favorite memory is definitely my first day, because nothing will beat that feeling. I was so excited to be there. You know, I was like a little, kid who had won the golden ticket to the chocolate factory. It was, you arrive on set of the show and you have these amazing costumes and this location, and yeah, I really couldn't believe it. So nothing beats that feeling for sure.
Yeah, it'd be the same with me, because I mean, you don't have in a production like this, the sets are perfect. You put on a costume, you're in this set, and it feels like you're in a different world. You don't have to do much acting. It all comes natural, and it feels really cool.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
My question is for Tom. Hello, no one. We all saw how powerful Jack and Hagar really is, and I really wanted to ask you, how does it feel to get beaten by a little girl, Arya?
What do you mean exactly? Did you watch the series?
Yeah, I did. And she left Bravos and she became no one, and still she is Arya.
For the time being. I have no idea. I mean, if anyone sees this, if you're recording this, I have no idea what's going to happen. But, well, she didn't beat me. I trained her. I mean, it was clearly my intention to do something with her. If I would have wanted her to stay at the House of Black and White, why would I pick her in the beginning somewhere in Westeros and train her? I clearly trained her to become good and have something to do with the final fight in Westeros. And if you watched closely, you could see me smile at the end. That scene that was just shown.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello. My question is, which character from the show describes you the most in real life?
Which character from the show describes me
Yeah.
best in real life?
Yes.
I would go with Podrick Payne, because he has the most fun.
You are like Podrick Payne in real life.
I hope so. It just gets through life, no worries at all. It's all good.
I don't know, maybe one of the dragons. No idea.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, firstly, let me thank you for being here today, and secondly, my question is rather directed to Keisha. I'd like to know, how do you feel about the sand snakes being downplayed in season 7, because they're still a big deal in the book, and we haven't heard pretty much anything about, Doran. He's been killed, but still, we know nothing about Doran and what's going on there. So how did you feel about the sand snakes being killed off like that?
I mean, it's always, I think for every single person on the show, it's always the fear every time you get a script of whether you make it to the end or not. So, of course, it was definitely sad to know that they were coming to an end, but we were promised a very intense death, which we were given for sure. I had such a wonderful time, playing Obara Sand, and also, working with Jessica and Rosie, who play, my sisters were, immediately we fell into a very very much a sibling dynamic, which was interesting. We come from completely different parts of the world. You know, I'm from New Zealand, Jess is from England, and Rosie's from Italy, and so it was very funny. It sounds like the start of a joke, you know. But you know, we immediately, and so I'm just really grateful that, you know, we got to play these characters, and I got to be from Dawn, which is my personal favorite. You know, it's the best place to be from, for sure. When we first turned up, all the guys all the actors who had been at the wall, you know, they've been like working in the rain and the cold for 4 seasons. And we turned up and we were like, oh, you know, it's nice to meet you. We're going to go shoot in Seville in the summer. They were like, are you kidding me?
Thanks.
Next, please.
Hi, my question is directed at Tom. You know, when you're going on with your life, you know, in real life, just doing your groceries and everything, how often do you get addressed in a faceless man manner? You know, no man would like to know if you would like to pay by card or cash, you know. And has it gotten annoying at any point?
Often. It happens. It happens. I've met a lot of girls without names in recent years, and yeah, people come up to me all the time and Vala Margul is this, Vala Margul is that. But I mean, it's a compliment. I know I don't get annoyed by it. You know, I mean, it's honestly, I mean, for an actor, it's a great gift to be on a show like that and to play a part that the fans like. So I don't know if I'll ever experience it again with any other part. So it's.
So you just cherish it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Hello. My question is that ever since Game of Thrones is such a big production and everything, do you think you'll be able to escape typecasting in further movies or shows?
What about typecasting?
Do you think you'll be able to escape typecasting in further shows or movies?
No. I think from now on, all of my parts will have long hair and weird dresses.
Yeah, and I'm only going to play a crazy killer with a spear from now on.
Hey, that's not that bad.
It's not that bad at all, no.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, hopefully producers will be able to get some other ideas and... You know, as a German actor, I'm already happy. If you want to work in international productions, most of the time you have to put on a Nazi uniform. So I was already happy I got this for a change.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next question, please.
What was the hardest part about dealing with yourselves? What was like the hardest thing in developing your characters?
What was the hardest thing about developing the characters?
Yeah.
In developing.
One of the things that was really important for me was making sure that the unit of myself and my sisters stayed like a strong unit, and I think we really wanted to have 3 female roles on screen, that we had like a sibling dynamic, but we worked together and we were not working against each other at any point. And so that was something that we worked really hard on, making sure that it came across that we were always a strong, that we had each other's backs, you know, and that it never became kind of us against each other.
Well, for me, I'd probably say because of this weird way of speaking in the third person, when I first got the audition, I thought, my God, I mean, nobody's going to understand what I really want to say. And so I thought, the easiest or the best way to do this is to keep it as simple as possible and kind of try and say everything like in a very quiet and kind of menacing, friendly kind of way, so to make the lines understood. Because if you start and act a lot with this, then you can't get the message across. So I think the speech pattern for me was the most tricky thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
For me, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for coming. I have question for you. What is your favorite movie? What movies you like to watch?
What is my favorite movie? Well, I have many favorite movies, but one movie that stuck with me for a very long time, and probably some of you will know it, is Arizona Dream.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
you all
yeah.
know it. Because at the time I thought it was so imaginative, and it was told on so many different levels. It was quite unusual for the time. I think it was early 90s. And I really liked all of the performances. And I mean, Emir Kusturica anyways, he's one of my favorite directors.
Thank you. Next,
And my
please.
second question, do you like anime?
Sorry, can we keep it to one question? Sorry, we have a really long line. Next, please.
Yeah, so my question is for Tom. There are fan theories where they say that you are Sirio Farrell, the guy who taught Arya swords fighting in season 1. What do you think about it? Is it true or not?
Well, I was always debating whether that could be true or not. But then I did a convention in Germany a few weeks ago, and Sirio Farrell was there. So that was the moment when I knew we were two different people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Greetings. I have a question for Keisha. How exactly do you feel about the death of the Sand Snakes? Since I know they had a great battle at the ship with Euron, but in the books they are described as very skillful assassins working their way out with poison. And do you think that they deserved more of an action before they actually did?
I think they would have liked more, for sure. However, I don't think they were ready. I mean, you know, before that they were just on the boat in the hammocks having a good time drinking. And Euron Greyjoy is not to be messed with, you know. So I don't think it was a matter of their lack of skill. I just think that they were, you know, they were blindsided by him for sure, you know, and when he decides that he wants to kill someone, we're discovering that there's no stopping him.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, Tom, Keisha. My question is, who do you think is the funniest from the cast?
The funniest?
The funniest from the cast.
Everyone's, as like a character that's funny?
Or actor?
The actor.
It's a very serious show. There's no fun. I mean,
Actually, yeah, I mean, you know what? Like, it's actually really, for the most part, I mean, a lot of the cast, you know, we don't get to work together because we all have our own storylines. And so, you know, like we often, like Tom and I just met for the first time this weekend. And, you know, but everyone is really friendly and actually like a really good laugh. But we only really ever get together at, you know, things like this. And so we're all out of character and away from it. But no one's really that, like, serious.
Isn't it true that the more serious the show, the more fun you have outside of filming?
Yeah, like everyone is quite silly, but for the most part, most actors are. You have to be.
yeah, I mean, I'm mainly with Maisie, so I never meet any of the other guys, so I don't know if they're funny.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my question is for both of you. You have been all over the world shooting scenes. What's the most amazing place you've been while shooting?
We got to shoot the Alcazar Gardens in Seville, in Spain, which was really amazing. And they had tried to shoot there, I think, in like season 1 or 2, and they never, like, it's totally impossible to shut those gardens down, you know, like it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And funnily enough, things that happened with this show, it got really successful, and then we were able, by season 5, we were given a week to shoot there. So, I mean, that was really like such a privilege, you know, to be there every day. I mean, it's incomparable to anything I've ever done before.
Well, At first I was a bit disappointed because most of my scenes are inside, and all the inside scenes are shot at the studio in Belfast. But then, because we're always filming October, November, December, I ended up being quite happy about that, because the other guys that were filming on location in Northern Ireland, it rains every single day. It is cold and miserable, even in August and September, and I was really happy to be in the warm studio. So that was my most exciting location.
Thanks.
Hi, I have a question for Keisha. How did you find out that your character is being killed off?
I actually, Jessica Hennick, who plays Nymeria, told me before I was meant to know, because I was on holiday avoiding the phone call.
Oh no.
But, you know, and so David and Dan, they do make a phone call, you know, to every actor, and it's kind of like the dreaded call before the script goes out to let you know that it's happening. And I had heard from her that she'd had the phone call, and then I conveniently kind of stayed away from my phone and just waited to see how long it would take. And I think I managed to get 3.5 weeks from when she was called to when they finally called me. But I mean, that was how I found out.
Guys, we only have time for one more question, so this will be the last question.
Vara Morgulis.
Malado Aires.
My question is for both of you. What advice would you give to any aspiring new actor?
What advice to whom?
To any aspiring new actors would you give?
Go.
Tricky. Well, to be honest, the first thing that you have to be clear about with yourself is that it's definitely a marathon and not a sprint to have an acting career. You need to be incredibly lucky at certain moments, which is just pure chance. And you need to work. And no job is too small, and no job is not important. I mean, you can learn something from every job that you take. I mean, personally, I started out doing theater for kids, so for 3-4 years after I went to drama school. And then it slowly progressed to film and television. But there isn't the one way that you can go. It's different for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is tricky because it is very different, you know. But
and you started very early.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think one of the most important pieces of advice I was given. You know, I started when I was 10 years old, and I was mentored by like a lot of really incredible actors who have had long careers in New Zealand, and all of them said the same thing, was that to make sure that this was exactly what I wanted to do, and to go and try as many other jobs as possible until this was the job that was left, because it's a lot of hard work, and it's long, and there's lots of ebbs and flows. It's any career in any type of creative field as an artist, there's feast and famine, and there's times when you have amazing, incredible opportunities like this, and you get lucky, and you have and then there's other times when there's not a lot of work, and that you mustn't ever take that personally. And also, I think one of the best things is to never take, you should always take the work seriously, but you should never take yourself too seriously. I always have to remember that no matter what, the reason I love this is because it's fun, and because I get to go and have these experiences, and essentially I get to dress up for a living. And so if it ever starts to feel too serious, then that's the day that I should go and get a serious growing up job.
Thank you, guys. That was really inspirational. We'll give it up for Keisha Castle
Thank
Hughes
you very
of
much.
Wlaschiha. Thank you.
Благодаря.
Thank you. Thank you.